4 offences. The first is if you or an individual, the briber, bribes another. Very simple. The second offence is if you're being bribed, if you are accepting money. The third is if you or a company or your competitor is bribing a foreign public official. And the fourth, and this is the one that's probably most relevant to most of you, is if companies fail to prevent bribery. Now, a bribe, again, sorry to be so technical, but it's an inducement. It needn't necessarily be money, it could be a gift, it could be a promise of something, offered, promised or provided to gain any commercial, contractual, regulatory or personal advantage. It's an offence for any organisation to fail to prevent an employee or subcontractor or agency worker, anybody connected with the company, who is doing business on behalf of the company, if they are taking money or are paying money in order to gain an unfair advantage, it is a criminal offence and the company will be liable. And obviously the effects are significant fine and lasting reputational damage. For the employee who takes, or the agency worker, or whoever who takes the bribe or gives the bribe, up to 10 years in prison. As an organisation, how do you avoid liability? Quite simply, by ensuring your policies and controls do absolutely everything to prevent bribery occurring. You must instill your company, particularly if it's in a high-risk area, with an anti-bribery policy. You must make everybody aware of that anti-bribery policy. You must have key people who know how the policy operates, and staff who are particularly in risky areas of the business need to be trained about what they can and cannot do. Now, the Bribery Act has been in force now a very short amount of time, a couple of months. Already the first prosecution has been announced. This is a case where a court employee offered to influence a sentencing on a driving conviction if he was given 500 quid. In the case of Aon, this is the FSA that took action, and the reason why they took action and fined the company 5.25 million was that Aon failed to take reasonable care to establish and maintain effective anti-bribery and corruption systems and controls. It was the systems and controls that they should have had that they didn't have had. If they'd had them in place, it may not have prevented the bribery, but it would have significantly reduced the liability of Aon. It's a simple fact that they didn't have effective anti-bribery and corruption systems in place. BAE paid an intermediary £15 million to facilitate an aerospace deal that was worth £45 million. A vast amount of money went to the intermediary. Nobody quite knows what happened to that money, but there's an assumption that the intermediary paid the money to grease the wheels to do the deal. The good news: hospitality and promotional expenditure that's reasonable, proportionate and made in good faith and is an established part of doing business. And the Bribery Act does not seek to penalise this. The bad news: hospitality may be bribery where the hospitality or expenditure is more lavish and beyond what might be the reasonable standards in particular circumstances. Ask the questions again. What kind of business are you in? Is it high risk for bribery issues, or are certain departments high risk for bribery issues? Everybody needs to be made aware of this policy if they're doing business with you and if they're in any kind of high risk area.